I found some things on this bed. I figured now's the time to take care of them instead of trying to fix it later. So here's what we found. I have never had the tailgate on and the fenders inside the bed. Now, the issue with that, the bed sides progressively come in as it gets higher a little, and it was pushing the top of the bed sides out, pulling the bottoms in, not letting the tailgate go on. Well, we got that fixed. I'll show you guys how I did that. And then the second problem was I cut this floor and had to weld it back together to give relief for the tailgate to close. Now, when I did that, this ended up warping. I think I got it too hot. I think that was the main issue. The second time, I really jumped around with my tacks and let it cool more and had a lot more success. Once the tailgate and bedside got on, you could see this little warp right here really well, and it caught my eye. One guy made a comment about it on a video, and ever since then, all I saw was that. But I'll show you guys, this thing is way straight now. I'm really happy I took the time to fix this stuff now, because trying to do it once it was on the truck would make things worse. The way that I did the fenders too, everything fits so nice. There was a couple guys that said put a ratchet strap from here to here and just pull it and then put the bar down there. But I didn't want that much tension on everything. I wanted it to go together like factory, and I think we accomplished that. So let me get into what I had to fix and how that worked out. Back floor, this will be the third time that I've cut it. And it's just because I'm learning, and that's sometimes what you got to do. Or I could have left it, but it kept catching my eye. So this back piece, I did it once. It was a little bit too long. I cut a 1/4 inch out of it. I did it again. And then when I did it that second time, the tip of this ended up bowing up just a little on this side, and it just kept catching my eye. So now I set that on, that straight edge on there, and it's perfect. I think what it did is it warped while I was welding it. So to fix it, I went through, cut there, I cut all the way to here, where right in here, all this lines up really good and it's nice and flat. So we're gonna start welding it back together carefully, do a lot of jumping around, but you could see that's the width of the blade, and right there, there's no gap at all. So it sucked that up, it fell down where it needs to be. Everything is great. There's no more gap underneath there. Hopefully it stays that way. I'm gonna get to welding it and see if I can get this fixed, and then we'll get on to the other stuff. All right, I really think I took care of the dip this time. I thought I had it last time too, but I think welding it, maybe I got it a little too hot. But check this out. We have no light underneath that thing. I got my little jack stand under there. I think it looks good. I don't know what happened last time, but that's part of learning this stuff. I'm gonna keep an eye on it and keep on tacking. That was a ton of work. I got it all welded back up now. You could see we got most of the bow out of it. So the crazy part is, while I was welding it, this dipped down. I had my jack stand in place holding it too, while I was welding the center pieces here, and I was just doing tacks and spacing them out all along here to keep the heat down. And then once I started welding this top, it started pulling back up. So I feel like I got the best I could. It's a lot better than it was. It was like a visible ramp on this side. I think I got it. It's really hard to tell on camera, but controlling the warpage on this long flat piece, I'll probably cut it in a different spot next time and try some different techniques. But I'm gonna get this ground down, get it all looking like that again. The welds are nice and flat, so that shouldn't take too long to grind down, but these are the things that take forever when I can't stand seeing that little divot. Should be good now. We'll take a look. You can see we are all ground down with the welds, and we are still nice and flat. I do need to do a little more work in between the ribs. Those are hard to get in with the grinding wheel, but we got a flat floor and that's what we're going for. Took some extra time, well worth it. No more messing around with the divot in the floor. Got bedside that needs to go back on. They're a lot lighter now that I have sectioned them, so it's not too bad. But how I do it, start with that end, then I go to that end, I come down here very carefully. Just like that. So I start with one bolt up there so this thing doesn't fall off on me. Always bring a couple extra bolts because you're gonna drop some. And then this whole thing goes together with factory bolts, which is really cool. Factory bolts, factory holes. It's exactly what came out of there. So we'll get this thing kind of tightened up. Once the bedside's on and we got them in the right spot, the next thing we got to do, these 5/16 18 riv nuts, have got to go in these bedsides all around to mount these fenders. Now these fenders, see, they got holes all around. So I'll stick them up inside the bed. I'm gonna drill one more hole there on each of them because this support was added when this got stretched. We'll drill that hole, we'll put them in, mark all these holes, drill them up, get the rib nuts installed in the bed walls, then we will almost be ready to get this thing on the truck. But I'm gonna keep going on this bed and get bolts in and get it to the point where we can get the fenders in. All right, I just tried to put the tailgate on. Take a look at that. That bedside is tilted. That is that way, that is that way. Same with this side. So I've never had the bedside, the fenders in, and tried to put the tailgate on. And obviously we have some things hanging up. And I thought this might happen, but this top rail on the bed is setting on that fender right there. And it's setting so hard that it's pushing the top of this bed over this way. So I'm gonna mark this and take a relief cut out of each side, which I was planning on anyway because this metal on metal is gonna vibrate and you don't want that. Especially, we got air compressors, we got a diesel motor, all the stuff to vibrate. We don't want this vibrating. So I'm gonna get those relieved and I think that'll let that kick over where it needs to be and stop it from hanging up. Just another body drop truck thing. Here's where we're making the cuts. That top line there, it's about a 1/2 inch high. Same with that side, about a 1/2 inch high. The radius on the end there is kind of a guess. I'm going to sand up to that and make them look even on both sides because they're both just a little bit different. So that's okay. We'll make them look even as we go. So I'm gonna get to cutting. All right, relief cuts are done, but we are still having a problem. This is body drop truck stuff. You can see we're still tilted, tailgate still is struggling to fit, and I can tell there's still pressure. Same thing with that side. Now, here's the deal. If you look up there, the top's touching hard, the bottom's not. See this wall here, down here, we're like 3 1/4. You go up here, we're just under 3. This wall is about a 1/4 inch further out up here, holding us up. So each side is pushing. It's also not allowing the fender to sit down in there like it should. See, it's sitting high. You can tell from the line. See, it's almost non-existent there, and back there it wants to go down lower. So that fender needs to go like that, which means it needs relief at the top. So it's not just the top rail. It did need that, but it's going to need a little more. And I kind of figured this was going to be an issue, but I thought we were going to have enough flex and everything in order to get this to work, but I'm pushing too hard and I don't want it to go together like that. So some options. I think what I'm going to do is take the fender, that's where the gap is. So from here to there, I'm going to slice it and take a 1/4 inch out of it and weld it back together back in there. Or the other option is to slice this wall, push that in until it's flat, and then weld it back together, which is also a good option. I'm going to get these fenders out and decide. I did see some videos of some guys that cut this upper wall and pushed it back, and that's really how, I mean, I even realized that that's tapered in there, was that video. I think it was 7 Speed Shop, 7s, pretty sure. They do some good work, but I don't know the cleanest way to do this and save the patina on everything. It might be to cut this fender inside here with a nice scar and do a tapered 1/4 inch gap up to the top. I don't know, I gotta think about this one. I have thought about it overnight and I know which way I'm gonna do it. I think the less invasive way to keeping things look like they currently do, you won't be able to see this, is to take from right there is where it starts. So I'm going to basically slit this whole rear flange. I'm just going to cut it right on the edge right there, all the way to there, let it hang. Same thing on the other side. On the top, I'm going to take about a 1/2 inch out, and then starting right here on the edge, I'm going to start tapering it down to about there so that this just folds over, and then we'll weld that flange back on right on the edge where we'll be able to seam seal it. And all that is going to be way up there. You're never going to see it because remember, this bed is going to be all the way down on the ground. All this stuff's going to be at your knees, and we're going to be from here to here with that cut underneath there, and it's going to get covered with seam sealer. I don't think you're ever going to see it. So I think that's what we're going to do. Modify each fender. I'll start with this one. We'll see how it goes. Now I am going to have to remove my angle brace that's on there now, but it only has a couple tacks in it really just to sturdy it up while I built the new fenders. So I'll probably pop those off. I might do something different. It doesn't really need that thicker angle that's right there. It did help sturdy it up, but now that it's welded, I don't think it needs that. So we might do something a little thinner right there. And these are just fenders. There's nothing structural about them, but they do hold those bedsides. And you know, all this stuff does move a little. And I put the tailgate on with the fenders out, and I did have to push it to get it to where it goes. But with the fenders in, it's pushing so far in this way that as hard as I pushed, I still couldn't get the tailgate on its hook. And I do down below have the Auto Metal Direct brace right there. That's the exact same as this factory brace that'll go in down there. But right now with the fenders in, it's just so tight that getting that brace in, I don't feel it's right. So I'm gonna start cutting this. I'm gonna start with a 1/2 inch. It may need just a little bit more, but that's real easy to do. I'll just do a 1/2 inch, and I'll just do like 3 tacks, set it up in there, see how it looks, and it should give us the same angle as that wall. And that should be good. Let's give it a try. too bad, really. Took this sliver from right there on each side, and I just tacked that flange back on there for now. But you can see, tilts that way. It's gonna let that wall come in more at the top. That's about where the gap started, so should be good. Both sides like that. It's pretty sturdy, but I'm definitely gonna be putting that brace back in there, because you can see it's kind of flimsy up there. So it definitely needs that. Plus, once it's welded back together, but I'm gonna stick it up there and see how we're looking. Okay, so with the fender back in, with the notch taken out of it, we got room back there now. It sits a lot flatter inside of there, where before it was like tilted. Now it's a lot flatter, looks a lot better. Our relief cut up in the rail works out really well, so we'll have no vibration. Down here, this is still kicked a little that way, but you barely push on it, and now it moves. I don't know if you could see that. It'll actually move out, which is what we want. And then inside here, everything worked out real good. We are almost touching up there, and you barely give any pressure on that. It sucks right up, so I'm gonna finish weld all this. It just has a couple tacks in it now from the other side. But another cool thing, ow, you're not really gonna see what I just did, because everything is gonna be welded on that back edge there, and it'll get seam sealed, and it's gonna be under that rail, and this is all gonna be down at your knees. So it worked. I'm gonna keep moving. That makes me happy. Okay, driver's side fender is out. I'm gonna get it all marked up, and I'll show you guys exactly how I cut the other one so you can see. Get going on the marking. I got this fender all marked up. You can see it tapers from the 1/2 inch there on the top. Well, it's just over a 1/2 inch. And then it tapers down the side. So how we do this, we cut the flange as close as we can there, and then we cut this side over here, and then we take this brace out because it's going to get in the way of what we're cutting, and we're going to put this brace back in later. That same thing on this side, we'll just cut it down, and we pull it over and weld it. Now how I did the last one, I did one side and tacked it at a time so this thing didn't get too floppy on me, because these flanges actually sturdy up a lot. So I'll get the going on it and then show you guys what I do. All right, now we got that angle there. Same thing with that side. Here's the slivers that we had to cut out of there. They're tapered down, you can see, just like that. Now that the cutting's done and we're all tacked up, I gotta put my brace, that brace right there, back in here, because this is a little flimsy. Wow, it's actually pretty sturdy now that I got these tacked in there. That's what you're gonna end up looking like. We'll get all this full welded in there. Once the brace is in and we make sure it all fits, check it out. Tailgate's on, gaps are looking really good, and that's not even, this whole thing's just loose, so getting the relief at the top of those really helped out with the fitment on stuff. And to really set the gaps, I have that auto metal direct brace that goes on the bottom there, but for being a bed that's loosely put together, everything's fitting way better. I'm really happy. I'm gonna end this video off here with a working tailgate, and all the weird stuff on the bed I believe is worked out to the point where next video we are going to be putting this bed on the new chassis behind the cab for the first time. Thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you guys on the next one.